Welcome, you're in the Beat Sessions. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about Florence and the Machine and their new album, Dance Fever. That was released on May 13th. This is studio album number 5 for the band, and it follows their 2018 effort, Highest Hope. And this is a great addition to an outstanding catalog. This band has had a very solid run now for 15 years, and I love what they bring to the table. I could definitely see how one could make the argument that this is the best alternative rock band out there. There's a lot of bands making alternative indie rock, and I love the genre, but my favorite thing about art is that it's entirely subjective. I love the different opinions, the way that people are influenced by different sounds and styles. But I would say that with Florence and the Machine, it's just song structure. It's the textures and layers, and I love when they work towards minimalism, if that's what they're bringing to the table. I love the influences and the number of different genres that they're working with. And Florence Welch, her voice is gorgeous. She's just outstanding to listen to. And it's the little things with her too, the way that she'll carry a note or the different inflections in her voice, everything. I'm really a big fan of this outfit. I definitely would agree with that argument if someone made it that this band is one of the best, if not the best right now. And I've been thinking about Arcade Fire a lot with this review. There's a lot of different opinions on their new album, a lot of lovers, a lot of haters. I think it's good. I think that what we're experiencing right now is what is so fascinating about art in general and life in general, is that Arcade Fire had their moment for a decade, but now there's someone taking over. And whether or not it's Florence and the Machine, I like the argument, but it's just cool to see those shifts. I think it's what keeps people engaged. It's what keeps people entertained. At the end of the day, that's still what we want to be when we're listening to these records. And so I think another big argument that one can make as far as there's kind of a disconnect that I feel with Arcade Fire. I've felt it now for a number of years, kind of after Reflector, even though I liked that record. I liked that record a lot, actually, but I just felt that, their music didn't quite resonate with me the way that it did when they were in their moment. Like I said, when they were putting out Funeral and Neon Bible and The Suburbs, those records are outstanding. And so I think that there's a level of personal connection, the way that Florence writes songs, that's making their music better right now. There's a great quote in the Apple Music interview. She talks about how she writes music like no one's going to hear it. I think that's brilliant. As someone that's creative myself, I think that every creative person should really put some consideration into that statement, especially when you're going through rough periods and lulls. I mean, I know that I could have definitely used that statement a number of times throughout the process of creating this channel. It's interesting going back and looking at stuff. Some stuff I really like, some stuff that is flat out bad. I will just admit it, but I leave it up there. I think that's important. I think, that process of growth and just knowing that even at the top of your game, you're still going to have days where you just suck. Like, it's a bummer to say it, but we all have those days where we're not dialed in. We're not hitting it. Thankfully, Florence and the Machine is, just not there as far as the album making process. And the music is great on this thing. It's just, there's a lot of different sounds and textures as you would expect from them. Her voice, I love her voice. It just, Grace Slick. Think of Kate Bush, a little bit of Stevie Nicks in there. She's got that witchy woman appeal to her. I really love what she's doing on this record. It kicks off with King. It's got this great rolling bass to bring in the track. It's got great percussion to complement it as well. And I love the way that her voice takes charge in this song. It evolves into this big rockin' affair and then mellows in the coda. Nice album opener. Leads into your second track, Free, which has got this up-tempo fuzzy bass. It just kicks right in. That second track just picks right up, and it's got this punk new wave energy that I dig. It's got this bit of heartland rock feel too. I mean, it really just reminds me of a solid 80s track with a contemporary feel. Love the evocative lyrics on this particular track as well. Choromania, got the hand claps and minimal keyboards on this thing. Love that riff. It's got this recitative vocal to open, and then the song swells and builds. Love the way that the synth percussion eases in and then takes over. This thing fills out into a great rock and roll track, a really nice track as well. Back in Town is your fourth track. Choir intro on this thing. It's this mellow ballad that rides a just really mellow vocal harmony, and it's a great way to end the A side of this album. We're going to get into that in a second. Your B-side kicks off with Girls Against God. It's an edgy track. Definitely the kind of, again, that rock and roll energy that Florence has. Even, I don't know. It's like, I love that about her. I think there's a lot of that just 70s rock and roll sound in their style. Light lead in with this acoustic riff on the song. It maintains a heavy folk and Americana feel. Love the bright melodies on this track. Dream Girl Evil. Love the stomping Americana feel that continues with this track. There's just a nice combination of songs songs there. Great exchange. The song, it feels like Fleetwood Mac. Really got that feel from Dream Girl Evil. And, you know, that track title, it seems like something that Stevie Nicks might mess around with a little bit. Prayer Factory is your 7th song. It's got this gospel vocal. It's soaring with this great sinister melody. I love the minimalism of this particular track as well. You got Cassandra, your 8th song. It's got this intro with these chimes and swelling synth, keyboards, organ. I love the driving bass on this song. It comes in, picks up the tempo, and then it's got this outlaw country feel that fills out at the end. It's really beautifully done. It's probably one of my favorite tracks on the record. Heaven is Here is your 9th song. It's an interesting track. I really like it, actually. It's got this world music feel. It feels a little out of place, and I'll get into this track again with the layout, but this we're getting into the C side of this record now, which we'll get into Daffodil, your 10th track here. Her voice is spectacular on this song. I love this song as well. The intro takes on a very unique feel. It's got this nice acoustic guitars, and just they're heavy. There's spine-chilling keys that are in this song. The percussion sets a mellow groove, and then this thing finishes hard. It really rocks out as well. Your My Love, your 11th track. It's got this choir intro. Turns into this kind of 90s dance electro pop feel. It's got some of that world influence as well. I like the feel of that. Restraint is a short track. Frankly, just kind of feels like filler a little bit, all things considered. The Bomb, it's got this light folk driven feel. I like when Florence and the Machine, dabble in this territory. This is I like the way that it comes in and acts as the penultimate track on this thing. And then you got Morning Elvis, which is a great track, great closer on this thing. Beautiful ambient reverb. I like the gentle riff, and then I love the harmonies and the melody on this thing. It is a really solid closer. With all that said, there's no D side. This is as far as the channel goes, this might be my favorite album on the worst vinyl package that I've seen to date. It's a double album. Like I said, it doesn't have a D side. It's got a 47-minute runtime with the 14 tracks on this thing, and so it's disappointing that I think the best that you can get this priced at, but you're still paying shipping. So I think no matter what, you're paying $40 for this record, a double LP that doesn't have a D side. It drives me crazy. And if you get on the Florence and the Machine website, they say the D side has etching on it. I'm not paying for etching on a vinyl record, Florence and the Machine. That's what the album inserts and the gatefold and all that stuff is for. If you want to put artwork on the album, put it on the album cover or in some type of insert, or do something. Give us some extra tracks. That's a lot to ask. $40 for just 3 sides of a 47-minute record for $40. Gas is $4.50 a gallon across the street where I live. People are hurting right now, and it just seems like there's such a disconnect there. It's very frustrating to me that this is actually a thing with this record. And some of you might think that the music on this record is worth paying that $40 for. And if you want to go for it, by all means, it's your money. I'm not going to judge anybody for spending their money however they want to. However, with that in mind, there's absolutely no value on this thing. This thing could have, if you taken off Restraint, that's a 50-second song. So now we're down to 46 minutes. And I really don't think there's anything sonically on there that even with a 23-minute runtime on each of those sides would have been detrimental to the quality of this album. It really bums me out. It's really frustrating. But until this comes on just a single A and B album, I'm passing on this thing. I don't think that, given what they've done with the layout, if they had put in some bonus tracks on that D side, I'd say, yeah, go for it. I'm going to pay the $40 for this, no problem. Because there's extra stuff in the Apple Music package that I'm seeing, poem versions of the song. That sounds kind of like a bummer, but even if it was just a poem version, at the very least, at least it's something on that D side to give you that $40 value. But unfortunately, the channel, we're passing on this thing. I definitely recommend streaming this record though, because it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. I'm just really disappointed with what they chose to do with this thing as far as that vinyl. So I hope you really enjoyed this record. Honestly, I hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2022, and stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We'll see you next time on the Beat Sessions.